Welcome to Rose Red Homestead. As you all know, the things that we focus on this channel are self-reliance, food security, and emergency preparedness. In today's grocery world, foods are in short supply line problems are everywhere, meat prices have gone through the roof, bird flu has caused the egg prices to just skyrocket everywhere. And so when we go to the grocery store, we watch for good buys. And even if it wasn't on our list to do a video on a particular thing, if we find something that was a good buy, then we are going to get it, bring it home, and turn it into a video. And that's what happened to us just a little while ago when we went to our local store. We found these packages of shredded potatoes, hash browns, for a really, really good price. So we are going to freeze dry some and we are going to dehydrate some. This goes along with some of our other potato videos, but the best part is these are just raw frozen potatoes, which means that they've already been blanched. Isn't that wonderful? And I'm racing the sun across the bar because the sun makes all of our colors go crazy. So I'm just going to put, and they're frozen right now. We just got them home from the store. So I'm going to be filling these trays. And so we will be able to do hash browns with these, or little shoestring potatoes, French fries, lots of different things. With these being pre-frozen, we do not put them in our regular freezer. We put them directly in the freeze dryer, and then when we select which mode we're going to use, we always select not frozen. And we have found that that works. In fact, that was a suggestion from the company, and it seems to work much better. Wow, I've only used 2 bags. All right, now for our dehydrator. With our dehydrator, I will do potatoes on our highest temperature, which is 159. When these are done, we'll see how quickly they rehydrate, and we'll talk about other things that we might be able to use these potatoes for. All right, let's get these in the dehydrator. I'll meet you over there. I'm going to set the timer for as high as it will go, which is 19.5 hours. It will not take that long, but I don't want it stopping in the middle. Then for the temperature, it right now is at 158 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to leave it there. That's as high as it goes today. So we'll come back when these are done. Now let's head out to the freeze dryer and get these going in Kelvin. So here's Kelvin, our freeze dryer. This is his lab. No, he is genderless. It is genderless. This is its lab. So there we go. So I'm just going to load these, and yes, they are frozen. They have some on the bottoms. Our freeze dryer is a Harvest Right. We have the oil-less pump, which I love. Extra insulation. Latching it all the way. All right, now we're going to start. Pre-frozen, not frozen. Even though these were pre-frozen, we are not going to select pre-frozen. And we're going to say not frozen. Load food into freeze dryer, close drain valve. I need to close the drain valve. That is so that it can form a vacuum. So now we can hit continue, and it begins freezing. This says 56 in there right now. It will drop down to between 20 and 40 below. Then it will start coming up, and then those hard frozen foods will sublimate all of their water, just like dry ice. It goes directly from ice in the cells to gas, and then it condenses on the side of the vacuum chamber as ice, and then it begins to heat up some, and then in about, I'm guessing that this batch is going to take us about 22 hours. So we'll see how close we are. So we'll be back when the potatoes are done in both places. Here we are, and everything is done, and they got done in record time. Here are the dehydrated ones. They finished in 8 hours, and the freeze-dried ones finished in 16 hours. Record time for both. So look at the difference in these. These are harder, of course. Dehydrating does that to foods. These are very soft and airy. They just dissolve instantly in your mouth. These are, you bite down on them, they crunch. They taste good. They taste just like potatoes. Amazing, huh? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to scoop up a half a cup of each one of these. And we're going to put them in a bowl. And then I'm going to add, this is warm water, a cup of water in each one. So we're going to see about the rehydrating process, how well they do, and how well they cook up as hash browns. Now, you saw the, look, these are a little bit more, the water is a little bit more cloudy than these are. These are already done. These to me, even though you saw on the label of the packaging, these said hash browns, these look more like shoestring potatoes to me, but we can certainly use them for hash browns. We can fry them up as shoestring potatoes. I think they're going to be quite versatile, so I'm happy about it. Now, as you may remember, I put our dehydrated and freeze-dried foods in 2-quart jars. And I do that because these are dried foods, and I want to see if any moisture is building, and you can do that in glass. It's not likely that any moisture will be building, but nevertheless, I want to just be sure. So these go in very easily. All right, so here's one of those packages in a 2-quart jar. Now let's see about the dehydrated ones. So one package of these filled about 3 trays. So here is about the same amount of the raw product. Now the reason that these take up less space is that when foods dehydrate, the water is removed from the cells and the cells collapse down. These, on the other hand, the freeze dryer is in a vacuum, the food is in a vacuum chamber, and it drops the temperature down to about 30 to 40 below. And then as it begins to heat back up, the water sublimates. It doesn't just evaporate, it sublimates, and that's a different process. It leaves the cell structure intact, and so even though there's not any water here, nevertheless the cell structure is intact, and so they're lighter and fluffier, and they take up more space. So it looks to me like we're going to be able to get 2 packages of those potatoes right here in one jar. And that is indeed exactly what happened. So this is 2 packages, this is 1 package. Now we'll come back in a little bit and I'll show you how I vacuum seal those. For right now I'm going to finish putting the rest of the freeze-dried in another jar, and we'll get all set up to try out these hash browns. So we'll be back in a few minutes. So I have these 3 jars. We are going to vacuum seal them. I am using previously used lids, which I have cleaned, and they're nice and dry. So then I just put this attachment over them. Now this attachment set comes with the regular lid size and the wide mouth lid size. This is a Food Saver jar lid set. This is a Weston vacuum sealer, and we just got lucky that it happened to fit. So I just put that right there and then turn this on, and here we go. Notice I am not putting in a desiccant. We live in the desert. I don't need to absorb any more moisture. I am not putting in an oxygen absorber. Taking most of the air out, the vacuum sealing process does all I need for these dried potatoes. Sometimes I just put my hand right down here on it, give it a little extra weight, and it seems to move it along a little bit. Okay, now number 2 jar done, and here are the dehydrated ones. All right, 3 half-gallon jars of these shoestring, or what are they called?
Hash browns.
Thanks. Hash brown potatoes for our food storage. So I'm going to move these out of the way, bring our little butane stove over, and let's cook up some hash browns. This is not one of my regular cast iron skillets. It is the lid to the saucepan that you've seen me use many times. That doubles as a skillet. I have a couple of dabs of ghee in there. I am now going to turn it on.
It's on.
Okay, thank you. And while that heats up, we are going to drain our potatoes. Now these potatoes are the ones that were freeze-dried. And these are just going to be 2 little dabs, but that's okay. Well, I forgot to measure the water, but it didn't absorb anywhere near half the water. It looks just about the same as it did. Okay, so there are the freeze-dried ones, and here are the dehydrated ones. It appears that there's a little bit more of these, and that would make sense given the difference in the volume of the 2. I'm getting as much water out as possible. As soon as this starts smoking, we'll get these potatoes in here. There's not much difference in the texture of these 2 once they have been rehydrated, so that is good to know. All right, we've got smoke.
Smoke.
I am going to put the freeze-dried closest to you. And the dehydrated closest to me. I know you're supposed to leave them for about 8 minutes on one side and then turn them over 8 minutes on the other side. I don't have that kind of patience. So these are looking really nice. Okay, freeze-dried here. Turning it off. Dehydrated here. Okay, we're going to taste test these. I'm going to feed Jim some, see what he thinks. A little salt. Little pepper.
You go ahead and do the testing. I'll have some later.
Oh, okay. Dehydrated. They taste great. I would never have known that these had been dehydrated first. Tastes just like potatoes. Take an equally crusty piece over here on the freeze-dried. Okay. Right here, the texture on the freeze-dry is a little softer. They're fine. I think I prefer the texture on a dehydrated. They're a little bit, they have more body to them. And I'm not talking about the crispiness. I'm just talking about whether I picked up a raw one or a crispy one. These are a little bit more soft. They're very good. They would be good in all kinds of casseroles. I do a Dutch oven breakfast bake in our new book, and these would be perfect for that. It calls for hash browns, and these would just be absolutely perfect. So I think that this was a big success. These are not all that different from the potato shreds that I did in an earlier potato video, but I'll tell you, the work involved in this, no comparison. This was so easy. I would do this again and again and again in a heartbeat. We don't grow potatoes, and so I would have to buy them and do the whole thing. So it's just so much easier to buy them already frozen, because I know that they've been washed and peeled and blanched, and they are ready just to pop right in the dehydrator or in the freeze dryer. So thank you for joining us on this one, and I hope that you get some useful information from this one, and we will see you at our next video.